Welcome back to my channel for another short Leica episode, and this will be a very special unboxing experience you will go through with me today. Here in front of me on the table I have the new Leica MA Titan Special Limited Edition, and this is number 224 out of 250 units shipped worldwide. Let's get started. I will provide all details about this new Leica M Limited Special Edition in the course of the video, but one thing is clear: the Leica MA is a fully analog camera, so there are no electronic parts built in, and therefore it's a timeless camera. So this camera can be used forever and will not be outdated in any way because it's shot with film and there is no sensor in it like we have it for instance in the Leica M10 or the M10R or the Leica M11. Experience shows that analog Leica M cameras in limited special editions, they increase dramatically in price over the years, and that's why I will be absolutely careful when opening this box. I will not even damage the outer packaging here and will make sure that we preserve the value of what I purchased here, which will increase over time in price dramatically. So let's open my tool here and let's try to get this opened very carefully. So this is the first one. Here we already have some tiny little damage here, but that will not kill the value proposition. Let's go here. So we've now opened the box. As said, we don't want to damage it, so let's open this very carefully here. It falls apart in a nice way, like it always happens typically in Leica packagings. And now we have the box here. And if we look at that, you can see it's the Leica MA Titan set, and it comes, and that's the very special occasion here, with an Apo Summicron M widest open f2.0 50mm. It's an aspherical lens, and that lens is also in a Titan finish. And that is very special, and I think contributes to the overall value proposition of the special limited edition. The next step in the unboxing is to open the main box, and listen to that sound here. How beautiful is that? Paper scratching on paper. And now let's open it up. It falls apart in the same way as we saw it with the outer box. And here we have a beautiful box which again says Leica MA Titan set. And this clearly comes in a very fancy, very poshy, very valuable package here. Let's open this up further. So here we can just flip it up, and then you see the camera, you see that Titan Special Limited finish for the Apo Summicron 50mm. And you see a very valuable shoulder strap. And it's all packed in this nice finish here, which emphasizes how valuable this package is, how rare it is, and as I said before, how clearly it will increase in price when it comes to collectors who had no chance to buy one of these 250 units of this special set and then look for it in the secondary market or on auctions. Let's have a first look at the camera here, and looking at that Titan finish, it clearly distinguishes itself significantly from the usual chrome finish you have on other Leica M series rangefinder cameras. And the weight is also comparably low because Titan as a material has typically a lower weight than the other material used for other Leica M series cameras. Quite nice. We go into details in a moment. The same finish applies here to that lens, and that's an Apo Summicron as we just read off the package here. So it is an Apo Summicron 50mm. We come to details in a moment, and that finish also is very beautiful with the engravings, and also distinguishes itself a lot from the usual silver finish lenses we have in the Leica M lens lineup. Quite nice. Let's move the box a bit because there is a drawer here which I want to open now. So let's have a look inside here. What do we have? Okay, first of all here we have a lens cap, Leica engraving, beautiful. We also have a lens hood here, and that lens hood here comes in the same Titan finish. It's the same mechanism to clip this on what you have, for instance, on the Noctilux 50mm f1.2. Quite nice. There is a film roll, which used to be also in the standard packaging of the standard Leica MA, and it's actually the film I'm using. I have two more of these film rolls in the studio, but I will keep this original one here in the box just to protect its value. We have a brochure here, that's the normal one. The Essential which means Leica photography is actually targeting at the essential of photography. We have a certificate here. And here we have the usual checks and balances. So someone at Leica signed up for this camera, that everything is in good order and can be shipped. We have a manual for the Leica MA instructions. We have another certificate here. And I guess one of them is for the lens, one of them is for the camera body. Here we have a brochure and instructions for the Aposummicron M 1:2 50mm. Another certificate. And then here we have what's saying that, dear Leica customer. Well, we don't need that, I guess, but we keep it. And here is an information about Titan or titanium. Well, I think the English pronunciation is titanium. And what this material is all about, why the camera body has less weight with it, and why it is so durable. Quite nice. So that's all in the drawer here. And now we have a more detailed look at the camera and the lens. Let's have a closer look at the lens first. So first of all, we have here a very nice Titan finish Leica engraved lens cap here. If I take this off, we see here also that the number is engraved. So I said before, I have number 224 out of 250. And that's what is actually engraved in the lens. And I can tell you guys, as someone who has a lot of experience with Leica gear and also collects Leica gear, that if the engraving on a special limited edition is on the lens, so you see on the lens, this is number 224 of 250, that makes the lens a very desirable object for collectors. So again, it confirms what I said before. These 250 pieces or units here of that set will be sold in no time, and then the price will start to climb up. The lens hood, as said, works in the same way as what we know from various Noctilux lenses. So here is the lens hood. You just push these two buttons here and then you can clip it on. It's very simple. And then it basically stays on it. And in this way you have your lens hood assembled on the lens itself. And then you can remove it in the same way and protect the lens again. Quite nice. Then looking at the lens, engravings are beautiful here. So here's the aperture ring. It starts widest open at f2.0 and then it goes all the way down to f16 if you stop the lens down. You have a very smooth focusing ring here. Very nice, buttery smooth, but a lot of resistance, exactly in the way I want it. And so typical for Leica M lenses, and the finish itself is just very, very beautiful. I don't think there is more to say about that lens here. You have the engraving of Aposummicron actually here on the side of the lens and not inside the lens, as you have it very often on Leica M lenses. But that's basically all I need to say to that limited special edition Aposummicron 50mm. Actually, and that can happen when you do a live unboxing, when I said this piece of plastic here with that Leica engraving is a lens cap, I think I should have a more careful look at that. And first of all, if you look at the lens hood here, it perfectly matches the lens hood. So that's what I found out playing with the kit. And let's remove that for a moment. And now clearly, if you put on the lens hood on the lens, as I said, it's the same mechanism as, for instance, the Noctilux 50mm f1.2. It clips on and then the lens hood is on the lens. But if you want to transport this, first of all, this one here is no longer fitting. So that nice Titan finish lens cap is not fitting on here. And this is also not fitting. But what you typically do is, if you transport a lens with a lens hood, you turn the lens hood upside down. So let's remove it. Let's do this here. That's what happens. And now this lens cap all of a sudden makes sense, because now it fits nicely on top of it. And now the lens and the lens hood is protected. And that's exactly what is going on. It's actually something I've not seen before on Leica M lenses. And I think is a very nice idea to make that lens hood, turning it upside down by 180 degrees. If you shoot it, you plug it on like this here. And if you don't shoot it, you plug it off. You turn it around by 180 degrees. You again plug it on the lens, and then you get that piece of plastic on top of it, and then it becomes a lens hood. And that's the way it works, and I like it a lot. So let's get the lens hood out of the way. Let's get the lens for a moment out of sight here, and let's have a look at the camera. And the camera is minimalistic, like most of the Leica M rangefinder cameras. It also has no Leica button on it, so there is no red dot here. And you cannot immediately identify from the front side that it is from Leica, but you clearly see it if you look at this camera body from the top. And you see here Leica, Ernst Leitz, Wetzlar, Germany, Leica MA, and in the same way as on the lens, you have an engraving here telling you that this is unit number 224 out of 250 pieces. And then here on the other side of the hot shoe is the serial number. So quite nice, and I think is a very valuable piece of mechanics, I'm intentionally not talking about technology here because there is no electronic part built into that camera. That's all mechanical, and there is no light metering. I come to that in a moment. There is no sensor. It's a film roll camera. I'm going to show that in a moment. It's fully analog, and you can use it like you use cameras in the good old times where people used to shoot with film rolls and where electronic sensors were not invented yet. A relevant question for a camera like the Leica MA, of course, is how do you get your exposure correct? And as I said before, there are only mechanical parts in this camera. There is no light metering going on here. We don't have a battery incorporated, so you have to figure out by yourself what is the right combination of aperture and shutter speed, because the ISO is fixed and dictated by your choice of the film roll. And the way to do this typically is to take a classical light meter like this one here from Sekonic. You can just meter light with it, and then you can prescribe, for instance, the aperture for your preferred choice of the depth of field, and then the shutter speed will be figured out by the instrument. Or you go for a more sophisticated, smaller one like this one here. Let's switch it on for a moment. And that here can even be plugged into the hot shoe of the camera, and in this way is mounted all the time, and you can read off your exposure settings and manipulate them in the way you want in terms of the light triangle. And the last version, of course, is what you can always apply is if you're an experienced shooter, you might have a lot of rules of thumb, and you might go, for instance, for something like the Sunny 16 rule, and then you will figure out your exposure in that way. I personally think this camera here is born to be shot with black and white film, and that's why also the 400 T-Max here from Kodak was in the package, but I left the original one in the box. This is another box I had from the Leica store in Zurich, and you see this is a black and white negative film. It has an ISO of 400, and I will show in a second how to load the film into the camera. The only thing I want to point out here is at the back you have your usual reminder on what ISO you have chosen on the lens, and you can basically turn this here. And in my case, this would go now to an ISO of 400. So just that I don't forget what's the setting on the film sensitivity I need to take into account when I think about my light exposure in the way of I tune then in my shutter speed and my aperture value. I do not want to get any scratches or signs of use on that camera body. That's why I'm going to take now some protection on the table surface here, so some towel, and I will show how to load film into the Leica MA in the special Titan limited edition. First of all, let's turn the camera around, and then here we have the opening mechanism. So let's turn this here and let's open this up. Here we go. And inside you see now the mechanics for the film roll, and it's actually very simple how to load these cameras from a certain Leica M series on, I think it was the M6, because there is the quick load mechanism, and you can just have faith and trust in the Leica engineers that they designed this here in a way that you don't have to peek and poke around here if you open that and adjust your film roll. And that's what many people do even on YouTube, even if they're experienced film roll shooters. When the roll is inserted, they actually start to try to adjust their film here and they touch around, and I don't like that a lot because it's completely unnecessary. On Leica M series film roll cameras, as I said, I think from the Leica M6 on, because that quick load mechanism here in the bottom plate is built in and works like a charm. So let's have a look how this goes. So let's take the 400 T-Max, let's open this up here. Let's get the film roll out. You see, that's how people took photos some years back before the digital camera age. So we can open this up, we can get the film roll out, and here we go. Beautiful, isn't it? That's a film for those of you who are natively born in the digital age, which also concerns me, of course. But if you have not seen this before, this is what people call a film roll. Now let's follow exactly the instructions you will find in the manual of these type of cameras. Let's get the roll in here. Let's wind this out a little bit. And then the only thing we have to do is we need to get it here inside. That's all we need. Nothing more to do. And yes, guys, I know many film roll shooters are now tempted to start to touch inside here and adjust the film roll paper. It's absolutely not necessary. You have to do nothing else but closing the camera, and that quick load mechanism, which is built into the bottom plate of this Leica M rangefinder camera, will do the trick for you. So let's try to get this done here. We close this here, we take this and adjust it, then it's getting in. And now you see the only thing is we have to wind this to a close again, and we are good to go and done. Now the film is loaded. That's all you have to do, really not more, and just follow the instructions. Don't start to touch on your film and try to adjust the paper yourself. Now let's turn the camera around. And let's load it here. And you see, we are now here, almost there. First, next one. And now you see we are perfectly at 0 and the film is perfectly loaded. Nothing will block it. It will work like a charm. Believe me, nothing more to do. Quite nice. Now that we've done that and looked into how to load the camera with film, there are a few more remarks I want to make. First of all, this cap here protecting the camera body and the mount of the camera is very beautiful if you look at that. It is a totally different design than what you normally have. Normally on Leica M rangefinder cameras, this is black plastic. This here is titanium, and in this way quite nice. So let's see how we can open this. Very smooth, buttery smooth. Here we have a look inside, and now we can mount the lens here. And let's get this off here. We have the red dot we have to take into account, which is here. We can mount it carefully, no scratches. This is a valuable package. And then you see the camera lens combo in its full beauty. Quite nice. I think this is really so nice. I love a lot this camera. Here you have a flash sync port, by the way, which you need here on these analog cameras. So we can sync here with a flash. It also has a tiny little Leica engraving. Let's try it if we can see this a bit better. Get this out, adjust it. And then let's bring it to the light. You see, even here there's Leica engraved, quite nice. And here, of course, is the film winder. You have to pull this up and then you can wind the film in the way you want to do it. So quite nice. I don't think there is much more to say on that camera. Clearly, I will shoot it, but I will also protect it because that clearly is an investment. This is really not only about being a fan of analog and film roll photography still, although I have all these super fancy, super modern digital cameras here in our studio. This is also a collector piece, as I said at the beginning. And I hope you enjoyed that unboxing experience. If you liked that video, don't forget to drop me a thumbs up. Stay tuned on my channel. There's always more to come. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and healthy. And of course, peace out.